Right, welcome. So today's video is a bit all over the place. I'm gonna be completely honest with you here, and that's because I wasn't even gonna make it a video, but like halfway through it I thought, hey, no, it's content, let's make a video. So please do bear with me and sit back, relax, and enjoy today's video. So it won't take you long to notice that there is something big missing from this engine bay. And that something is the gearbox, because we have to pull out the CVs, the gearbox, because we need to sort a very pressing matter. And that is an oil leak. And as you can see, there is oil sitting within the gearbox. But this is where the problem occurs, because if we actually look at the gearbox seals themselves, well, we see that there's no oil coming out from anywhere around the seals. I'm talking about the big seal as well as the seal where the push rod is. As you can see, there's no oil present around or leaking out, because if it was leaking out, it would be coming down the gearbox and we would see, okay, there is signs of oil leaking down, but there isn't, and there's oil in the gearbox, which means the rear main seal is gone. Well, it's leaking. So we went to Goldwagon and we picked up a brand new seal, and that is what we're about to change. So as you can see, the box is out, CVs are out, and now it is time to remove the flywheel. So to remove the flywheel, you are gonna need a small ratchet and a number 9, but this is a telltale sign that we knew we had a problem. This little oil stain here was the indication that we needed to take action, because if we let the oil leak continue, well, that was gonna start putting oil on the clutch, and then the clutch was gonna start slipping, and it was just gonna become a nightmare. So before we even take the car on the road, we need to sort it out. So we did exactly that. So first things first, as I said, you need to remove your flywheel. So after a flywheel comes off, well, next thing to remove is the spring and the metal plate that now is present. So to do that, you're gonna grab a screwdriver, lift up the metal spring, and as you can see, it pops off and the cover just pulls right off. Once the cover is out of the way, well, you're gonna grab a ratchet with a 17mm socket, and you are gonna want to start loosening. Now on the other side of the engine, well, you're gonna need a 19mm socket with a power bar. And now what you're gonna do, you're gonna wedge that in place and get that to actually just lock the engine. And this is the way that you are gonna be able to actually loosen these balls in order to remove your pressure plate. So once you loosen and remove all of the bolts, the pressure plate should then just pull right off without really giving you much hassle. So once the pressure plate comes off, well, you're gonna then see 3 number 10 bolts. So you're gonna grab a number 10, whether it's a small set or big set ratchet, and you are gonna start removing those 3 bolts. But before we did that, we wanted to take a look at the seal to actually just confirm that it is the leak coming from the seal. And lo and behold, there you can see now on screen, if we bring a camera close up, you can see that darker spots on the seal, and it's a bit shiny. That is where the oil leak is coming from. It's very visible, and we can see clear as day this is where the leak is coming from. So with that being known, we can easily take off the metal cover, then we have full access to remove the seal. Once the plate is out of the way, well, grab a screwdriver and remove the seal. Because look, you're not going to be reusing the seal, so you don't need to be careful or be delicate with the seal. The seal's coming out, you're replacing it. So grab a screwdriver and just start prying the seal out. Now, after a bit of prying, it should just pop out of place. It may take a bit of work here and there trying to get it out, but eventually your seal will come out. Now don't forget to lubricate your new seal before putting it into position. So you want to grab a little bit of oil, you can put it on your finger and then rub the inner parts of the seal before you actually put it into place. Now once you get your seal lined up, well, all you need to do, you can take a small hammer and just start tapping it to get it down into position. Now what we had was a plastic ring that actually fitted over, so we just used that to help guide the seal into position. Now you don't need to have it, it's not a mandatory thing, but we just had it, so we used it. So we put that over and began slightly tapping and knocking the seal down into position. And once we were happy with it, we grabbed the lights to just make sure, okay, it is evenly down. We saw that there was a part where it could be pushed down a bit more, so took a hammer and just started knocking it, and as you can see, got the seal down into place. And then with the seal where it needs to be, well, you can start assembling your clutch once more. So my father then gave the area a bit of a wipe off before, just cleaning up whatever dust or dirt may be there. So grab the cloth, just wiped off, so we knew, okay, we had a clean surface to then start mounting the parts back onto. So now when installing the parts, we're going to be doing everything in the reverse order. So the first thing to go on is the metal plates. So as I said, we're going to put your 3 bolts back in place. With your number 10, tighten that up. Once we have that tightened up in place, next to go on is your pressure plate. So once you grab your pressure plate, you want to just make sure you have a clean cloth and a bit of petrol. Just take it, wipe it off, make sure, okay, it is a clean surface, so that will just remove any finger marks or possible grease on the pressure plate, because that is the last thing you want on your pressure plate. So clean off your pressure plate, slide it on into place. If you have this metal plate, because I've seen some cars without it, put that on, and then you can start putting your bolts into place. So now when it comes to tightening up your bolts, well, you see the way you had your 19 socket with your power bar, and you're going to place it on top of your CV, because once you start applying a lot of pressure, well, then your engine is going to want to start rotating. Especially now, since we are going to be torquing the bolts, the motor is going to want to rotate, so you need the 19 and the power bar there to just jam it into place and lock it. So the torque setting that you're going to use is 80 newton meters. That is 80 newton meters when torquing down these bolts right here. So once you finish torquing down all of the bolts on the pressure plates, next to go on is this metal plate. So with the metal plates, you want to line it up. As you can see, they are cut out on the metal plate for you to slot it on into position. Then you're going to take the metal spring and you want to get it in position. Now you can see on the metal plate, there are 2 holes for the spring to actually go into. So your challenge is you need to get the spring to actually go into those 2 holes. Now it may need a bit of assistance, as you can see, with the help of a screwdriver to just get into place. But once it's in place, it will lock, and then you can slowly adjust and try and get the plate evened out. Next to go on is going to be your clutch and flywheel. So you have to put the clutch and flywheel on together. Now when putting it in place, well, you just need to actually line up your dowels, and once you do so, then it should actually just slot on. But you need to line it up, and once you actually get it in position, then you want to grab your bolts and start putting a few bolts in and around the flywheel. Now as you can see, there is no lining tool right now because the flywheel is actually not being bolted down. You just want to put a bolt in place so that you can actually let go of it and it's not going to fall out of position. So after you get your first few bolts in, well, then you can let go of your flywheel and just start putting the rest of your bolts into position. The next thing you want to do, you want to grab your lining tool. So once you get your lining tool, this is gonna, exactly as the name says, it's gonna help line your clutch up. So with the help of a screwdriver, you want to just slowly adjust your clutch to the point where your lining tool will be able to do a full rotation without hitting any tight spots or anything like that. Your lining tool must be able to just rotate evenly and with ease. And that's when you're gonna know, okay, you know what? My clutch is lined up. Now, once you're happy that your clutch is lined up well, you're going to grab your 9mm socket with the ratchet and start tightening down your flywheel. So you want to go right around and tighten all of the balls and make sure, okay, you double check your balls, because you don't want to think, I tightened all of them and you actually missed one. So just take your time, tighten all of them properly, and know, okay, you are going to be good and have peace of mind. So now the next thing to go on is the gearbox, and with this I'm going to be cutting between the current footage that you're watching now as well as previous footage to us originally putting the gearbox in, because to be honest with you, I wasn't really filming much footage of us putting in the gearbox right now because I knew I already had the pre-existing footage. So when it comes to lifting the box, I'm at the bottom because I need to push up and just support the box. Then my father is on top leaning over the fender, and he is going to be guiding the gearbox in. So what you want to do is you just want to take a bolt and try and screw it into position. If it goes in and it takes thread, then you know, okay, you're good. You can put other bolts and just see if they also take thread. Now, if you put the bolts in and it isn't taking thread, you need to adjust the box. You either rotate it and then you should be able to perfectly line it and get thread, and then you can tighten the bolts. Now both the bolts that are being tightened are on screen right now. So we have the one here which is in the open, and then now if I move the camera over, you can see the one that still needs to be tightened more. That is the second bolt on top that needs to be tightened to hold your gearbox in place. Now from underneath, you're going to see and find another bolt that needs to be tightened. This is going to be running from your block into your gearbox, so you need to tighten that up. And while you're underneath, from there you're going to want to actually put your CVs on. Now when it comes to your CVs, we can then put the driver's side in, because when removing the gearbox, you don't actually have to take the driver's side CV out. So all we're going to do now, slot it into position and line the bolts up and tighten it into position where the CV cup and the CV is going to join and line up. So with you having your engine still all together, you're going to have to work it from underneath the car. Now with the passenger side CV or the short CV, well, we did the method that you can see on screen. Now even with us having the engine all in place, there was still a lot of room for us to actually just push the CV from on top of the gearbox, push it down to get it to line up there by the wheel bearing. We install the get that lined up and then drop it into place and then start tightening it up from there. Now the next thing is to get tightened were the mounting, starting off with the gearbox mounting. Now for the back mount, you can see there are two bolts on screen. Now those attach to the gearbox, and that's what holds the mount to the gearbox, as well as it's connected to another bracket at the bottom that now connects to the actual body of the car. So in order to get the front mounting in, you have to put the starter in as well. So the starter is now in position, and so is the front mounting. So the next step is to get the bolts in and just start tightening. Now the reason that the starter and the mounting have to go in at the same time is because they share the same bolts. The bottom starter bolt actually threads through the mounting. So in order to get your starter in, you have to have the mounting in. In order to keep the mounting in place, you need the bolt. And to get the bolts in, you gotta put the starter. It's all just linked, hence why the starter and the front mounting have to go in together. Now for the bottom bolts, you're only gonna use a ratchet. That is all you need. However, for the top bolts, you're gonna need a spanner as well as a ratchet to tighten the top nut and bolt. So then once you have all of the mountings in place, then you can really start connecting everything up. Put your clutch cable on, speedo cable, put your plug on, just start connecting everything up and get it back to functioning condition. And with that being said, that basically wraps up today's video. Once again, I do apologize for the video being all over the place, to me jumping to old footage, but I really didn't see the need. Plus, so we were working later than usual, so the lighting was bad and there just was a lot of things, so it was easier to just take the old footage, because I mean we are doing the same thing, we installing the gearbox, so why re-record and make the same video when the same video is already out there? And if you haven't seen that video, I suggest you do, because that was the video where we were putting in the block as well as the gearbox, and as you can see, this is where we currently stand. Yeah, it's still a work in progress, but I mean, hey, what project car isn't still a work in progress? So with all of this being said, I hope you guys do go on to enjoy today's video. And with this being said, don't forget, leave a like, comment and subscribe for more VW Fox content.